There's a lot happening with New Jersey's child welfare system. We want to help you make sense of it and share our story. This is DCF On The Air.
This is DCF On The Air, and I'm Jason Butkowski. You may notice that this episode we're using a slightly different format, and there's a very good reason for that. One of the reasons in particular is that summertime is usually a time for family vacations. I myself am just getting back from a place known as the happiest place on earth. If you do not like heat or crowds in the summertime, your mileage may vary, but I will say that it was a great time spent with my family. And I think that dovetails really nicely into the subject of today's episode. We're talking about family support organization. At DCF, we have a robust children's system of care to support youth mental wellness and really the entire continuum of mental health services for young people under the age of 21. But one thing that we noticed is that in service to those youth, we wanted to make more supports available to the entire family. And when a young person is going through a mental health challenge, it really has impacts across the entire family. So through the family support organizations, we're able to help them, the entire family unit, cope with and connect to services and supports from their peers and from other organizations that might be available to them. So joining me today are three guests who are going to be talking about that, and I'm going to turn it over to them to introduce themselves. I think we're going to start with Rachel.
Thank you. So my name is Rachel Helt. I am the Executive Director for Family Partners of Morris and Sussex County's Family Support Organization. I'm also a family member with lived experience.
Thanks for joining us, Rachel. And Rachel's also one of the stars of our Children's System of Care PSA that we recorded a couple of years ago. Turn it over to Richard to introduce himself.
Hey, my name is Richard Dodd, and I live in Camden County, and I have 4 children, young. I got a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and my 10-year-old and 9-year-old have autism and ADHD and have really benefited from the FSO services.
And last but not least, we have Jennifer.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Edwards. I serve as the Family Support Organization State Representative. My work with the FSO is housed in the Department of Children and Families, Division of Children's System of Care, Office of Community Services. The Children's System of Care is responsible for providing oversight, funding, and policy setting for the family support organizations, and I serve as the liaison between the FSO leadership and CSOC leadership.
Thank you so much, all three of you, for joining us today, and welcome to DCF On The Air. So first, as we begin this conversation, I'd like to ask a little bit about the Family Support Organization model. Specifically, how is that embedded in the behavioral and developmental health services made available through DCF?
So I'll start. The family support organizations are service-based organizations. They are located in all 21 counties, and there are 15 FSOs. The FSOs are also the youth peer support experts. And the individuals that work at the FSO have lived experience. That means that the FSO is led and staffed by families of youth with emotional, behavioral, intellectual, developmental, and/or substance use challenges. The FSOs assist families with navigating very complex systems in the children's system of care. They provide education, advocacy, and they support New Jersey families through a variety of services, such as warm line services, support groups, trainings, webinars, and youth may participate in their local youth partnerships. Families that are involved with the care management organizations, or CMO, can receive peer support partners who assist caregivers with navigating the children's system of care.
And Jen, you mentioned that there's 15 FSOs, 21 counties. But I think that aligns with a lot of the services that we make available for mental health. It's 15 CMOs, 15 FSOs. I think NJ4S is modeled on the same continuum. How does that help align sort of the continuum of services across the youth mental wellness and mental health spectrum?
Well, that helps with, as you said, we aligned it, such as you said, and what that does is the FSO services are integrated in the children's system of care. Rather than having separate services streams under the CSOC, we integrated them under one umbrella to better provide services for the family. So across the state, CMO is going to look the same, and mobile is going to look the same. Excuse me, that's mobile response stabilization services, and our FSOs. They all look the same. They were designed the same.
So this next question is for Rachel. I'm wondering specifically what are some of the ways that the FSOs support families? I know Jen mentioned some of these in her response, but I'm thinking in particular about ways that the FSO might support other siblings in the home or parents that are really trying to navigate resources for their children.
That's a really good question, because often when families come in to services, the focus is typically on one child or one youth. Our family support organizations, we focus on the family as a whole. So we're looking at core domains of the family. We're looking at health. We're looking at safety. We're looking at community resources. And when we come into the homes to work with the families, it's very individualized for each family member in the household. And when it comes to siblings, often they may feel a little left out because one child is getting all of the attention. But as we focus on these domains, we can identify the needs of each individual. And the siblings, we offer a lot of resources for families across the state, including youth partnerships. Junior youth partnerships are available in some counties, and that allows the siblings to come in to engage in programming with us and also engage in programming with their siblings. And alongside of that, we also host a lot of family events and support groups. So we collaborate tightly with our CMOs, our care management organizations, and host family fun days where the whole family can be involved. Separate events, we do camping trips where siblings can also engage in those programs as well. Support groups, family nights, there's a lot of engagement for all of the members of the family.
That sounds amazing. And I mean, I think it really helps families as they're sort of navigating through this. And you mentioned, of course, that, sometimes the other siblings in the home, they feel like a lot of the resources are being directed to the one child who's dealing with a challenge. And I think that's one of the beauties of the FSO is that there's something for everybody and it's individualized. You mentioned in your intro that you also have lived experience, and I'm wondering what the role of lived experience is within the family support organizations.
So that's a great question as well. So all of our team members that do direct care with the families have lived experience as a parent or caregiver with a child with a challenge. When I say a child with a challenge, that's a very broad statement because the challenge can be anything from a mental health crisis to developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, juvenile justice involvement. So it's a very broad statement, but we have specific expertise in each of those areas as parents or caregivers. And that expertise, when we pull it together as a team across the state, we have an abundance of knowledge having that lived experience. So when we're working with a family, we can easily identify, and really bring that peer model to that family.
Yeah, and it makes the support so relatable because these are people that have experienced the same things that a lot of these families that are coming to the FSOs have experienced. I'm wondering, and this is for anyone, would like to answer this question. How does how do the FSOs interact or interface with other DCF services? And I'm thinking specifically of programs like our Family Success Centers, um, NJ4S initiative, which I mentioned previously, which is NJ Statewide Student Support Services. But I'm wondering, like, even outside of the children's system of care, because we know that they're aligned with the children's system of care, they're working directly with CMOs, care management organizations. That's the one thing that DCF does very well is uses acronyms for shorthand, and specifically when we're talking to a larger audience, I need to make sure that we're spelling all of that out. But I'm wondering how do the family support organizations interact with those other services that might be out there, either within DCF or maybe even outside of DCF?
So I can jump in on that. So community collaborations are extremely important for family support organizations. Family success centers are also statewide, and collaborations that we have with them, we do a lot of programming with our family success centers, and also a lot of referrals to the family success centers as well, because they offer an abundance of resources for families. So we're constantly referring families there and also collaborating with community events. And with NJ4S, we do a lot of trainings with them. So they come in to help to train our staff. We also do educational program with them, like we do for Morrison Sussex. We do lunch and learns, and NJ4S is a participant in our lunch and learns, that so families can come together and learn about different programs as well. And then as far as community collaborations, a lot of our statewide representatives, executive directors sit on multiple boards and chairs, specifically for like our mental health boards, LACADA, that's the local advisory for alcohol and drug addiction, our youth service advisory councils, we sit on the kayaks. So there's always participation in community, in community collaborations. Did that make sense? I'm sorry.
No, that made a ton of sense, and I think it's very reflective of our notion that the children's the system for children, the child welfare system in New Jersey, isn't just our DCF organization, that it's much broader than that. And when I think about how the FSOs are reflecting that, it's collaboration in community, it's connection to other services, it's thinking outside of the box, not necessarily what we can provide, but also what some of our partner agencies can provide in other aspects of the world. But building out that safety net and collaborative support system for all families, utilizing the resources that are already available. I think that's really one of the strengths of the child welfare system in New Jersey, is that it's not centralized on one organization or one agency, but it really it's a tapestry of support, really, for all families. And I think that's being reflected through the FSOs. So thank you for that partnership.
Thank you.
My next question. Oh, go ahead.
So some real life events that my family has partnered with the FSO is almost at every meeting I've been to for the men's group. They'll mention Perform Care. They really do a good job promoting Perform Care, because that provides a lot of great resources as well. There's been different community events that we've gone to, or just funded events that otherwise we wouldn't be able to enjoy, where I brought all three of my sons. We went to Sector X, which is like a video game place, 2 times. There was 2 different events, a family night type of thing. And one year there was even funding to allow families to bring their children with another adult to a Phillies game. Otherwise, I would never have been able to take my entire family to a Phillies game. And they had food vouchers for the guests, and it was one of those milestone experiences, and that wouldn't have been possible without FSO reaching out to these different outside the box partners.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think those milestone moments, those really positive memories, I think that's like a grounding thing for families. When you think about, um, my kids are now 14, and if I think about the stuff that we've gone through in our lives, I'm always remembering the positive stuff, the really great memories we've built, the different activities that we've done, different things that we've been able to do with them. And I think being able to give families that gift of, building those positive memories, even while they may be navigating services to care for a young person who might be struggling a little bit. I think that's really uh, a beautiful part of what the FSOs represent. Um, thinking about the, wondering about the FSO supports for families who might be experiencing a little bit of mental health stigma. And Richard, you mentioned that as part of your FSO, there's a men's group to kind of talk uh, to dads, to father figures. But I'm thinking about, what do the FSOs do to help families kind of navigate through this idea of mental health stigma? Because a lot of times I think it feels very isolating if you're going through that experience of supporting a child with a mental health challenge, um, and just wondering, what supports are available for that.
So for me personally, since 2020, I've been going to a men's group, and that men's group is at the main office of the FSO and in Camden County. And I was able to meet other dads that have children with autism and are navigating the special education system. And it's just it was just therapeutic, really, to hear other people's stories, to be open and honest about things that you can't really talk to or relate, or other people can't really relate to, the struggle of a family that has children with autism and they require special education services, and then the home life is separate from the school life, and you need someone to talk to. And the men's group leaders for those years have been Peter Burgos, John Howlett, and they even offer like community education resources where presenters like Lynette Reed would be there, or Audrey Hafazito, and they really have intricate knowledge of special education systems and really how to support families. So you don't feel like you're on an island when you go to these things, if you take advantage of those opportunities.
Thanks. And I think that sense of like you're on an island kind of facing this alone, I think that does contribute a lot to it. Rachel, I'm wondering what your FSO does in the realm of mental health stigma, what you're able to do to help families through
Yeah, so that there's never just a little bit of stigma. It's a very broad statement. It's a negativity. It holds prejudices, and that's something that we just really try and work with our families individually and as a group, to learn and educate them on, number one, resources that are available. We focus on specific topics like developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, juvenile justice. So one of the major things that we do is we provide education and raise awareness within the community, especially amongst our youth, because we don't ever want them to feel like they are alone. And as far as families are concerned, support networks, we have to build those support networks within, starting with the family individually, and then building them out to the community so that they know that they are not alone. And that's something that every family feels when they come into services, that it's only me, and that's not true. We all have that lived experience, and we share it with them and reinforce that we're here for them and we're there to support them and bring that family to a point where they have a successful journey and where stigma does not exist.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note mental health, intellectual disability, developmental disability, substance use. These aren't things to be ashamed of. They're things that can be treated. And yeah, we have treatments that are available. One thing I'll note, and I've mentioned this on previous episodes, is that I feel like culturally there's a big change in how we relate to these supports. When I talk to even my kids and I talk about the services that are available in their school, I think there's more of a comfort level of connecting to supports and services than there may have been even during my generation.
Mm.
So I'm glad to see that that's changing, but I think it's also just providing that reassurance to families of my generation, of older generations, who might be dealing with this and thinking that they're alone. And just know that you're not alone. Thinking about the the effectiveness of the FSOs, I'm wondering what does the data tell us about outcomes for children and youth receiving services through CSOC when their families also supported through an FSO? Yeah, we know that the FSO is intended to provide wraparound supports for other family members, but I'm thinking about how FSOs improve the outcomes specifically in the children that are receiving support through some other aspect of the children's system of care.
I'll take that one. So Jason, in our system, our families complete surveys, and our surveys tell us that families have increased family empowerment. The families gain confidence in advocating for their own needs and participating in planning processes such as IEPs, meetings after being involved with the FSOs. They also shared with us that they have improved system navigation. The families are better able to understand and access available services across the systems after being involved with the FSOs. And the family has elevated their voice in the system. The families gained opportunities to influence policy, program design, and system improvement through their feedback. So that's some of the outcomes we've seen from our families.
Could I share
No,
my data?
please do, Richard.
Okay. All right. So I can give you firsthand data experience for my son, one in particular that required intensive IEP help. We fought for a couple of years with special education through letters to superintendents, to principals, to directors of special education, and we really needed him to get an IEP, and it escalated to the point where we needed to get a lawyer involved. And anyway, we eventually got my son his IEP, and he had all the supports in place. And then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, in first grade, he started getting suspended. He got 2 weeks in a row of multiple day suspensions. And my wife was in bed crying, and we were praying to God to, we need help. And I had a men's group that night, and this is the first time I got to meet Lynette Reed. And she mentioned she specializes in intensive IEPs. And I said, I need help with an intensive IEP. And she said, I'm completely full, but I'm going to help you. And she literally taught me how to communicate with the special education and Board of Education system, because they have special wording, just like we have acronyms in business. They have different words that are specifically communicate well to when you're speaking to someone in the Board of Education. So one term I learned that night, and now I can, it's called social emotional, right? Social emotional, like a child needs help socially and emotionally, how to control those feelings and advocate for themselves. Well, anyway, we were at our wits' end as a family, and she was a godsend. She helped me draft a letter to call for an emergency IEP, which I didn't know I could do. So I got educated on that. And then we had a meeting with the director of special education, the principal, all these people, and we found out that the school was fading my son's services. He had a one-on-one aide, and they were sort of fading the direct care of my son's needs, his emotional needs, and because they faded those services and didn't communicate that to us, he was getting suspended. And the thing that Lynette Reed shared is all behavior is communication. My son was communicating that he needs help with something, so we got to the underlying cause, which what the root was, they were fading services. And after that meeting, my son for the past 2 years has not been suspended. They finally supported him. We got the right IEP in place, the right supports in place, because that was his story. If he made a mistake or couldn't self-regulate, he would be suspended. And because of the FSO and their knowledge and care for this local community I live in, my son is in the gifted and talented program. He couldn't read in kindergarten and first grade. But now he's in the gifted and talented program, and I would say that's a direct connection with the FSO, and they're educating parents like myself on how to navigate IEP meetings and get that extra support.
No, I think that's fantastic. And thank you for sharing that example. I think it really drives home how the FSOs are providing advocacy and support to families and seeing real differences in the outcomes of children that are connected to those services. So thank you for sharing that. Um, thinking about, so I know that New Jersey in a lot of ways is the pace setter for supports and services through the top welfare system, through children's mental health. And I'm wondering, um, because a lot of states often model their services on what we do. Um, are there ways in which other states, other jurisdictions might be um, looking at the FSO model and kind of patterning what they're offering to families based on some of the work that we've already put in place here in New Jersey?
So yeah, I can jump in on that. So New Jersey was the first state to fully fund FSOs across the entire state and integrate them into a system of care with a wraparound model. Since that time, we have had a lot of interest in the entire system of care and specifically with the FSOs. I know that we have recently worked with Washington State. We've worked with Utah, Maine, Massachusetts, Delaware, New York, and New Jersey is looked at as the best practice model for children's system of care. So there is a tremendous amount of interest in learning what we do, how we do it, and how we have integrated this model throughout the state to be a cohesive model for families. And New Jersey embodies the wraparound model and incorporates supporting families where they are, and we meet them where they're at. And I think that is one of the most important things with our model across the state.
Okay, Rachel, thank you. She's correct. The New Jersey family support model is the example of how to embed family voice, lived experience, and peer support into a statewide system of care. As Rachel said, several states have come to New Jersey to understand and learn what we do and how we do what we do. And even other countries. We had Africa visit some time ago to learn about the components and adopt some of the components of the New Jersey model. And it's based on some strengths that we have incorporated, right? The integration of lived experience in leadership, The FSOs are led and staffed by individuals with lived experiences, and the other states are now seeking guidance from New Jersey on how to elevate peer support leadership from direct service to system level roles. And this work is embedded in the children's system of care infrastructure. The FSO work is fully integrated, or excuse me, the FSO work is fully integrated into the system of care with partners with such as CMO, Care Management Organization, Mobile Response Stabilization Services, and they attend the child family team meeting and community level and aid in community level decision making. So states are coming to New Jersey to understand what that looks like and how to replicate that work.
Great. No, I think that's a fantastic way to leave it. That we're employing this wraparound service. It's embedded in everything that we do. It incorporates the idea of family voice, and we're leading the way in New Jersey. Richard, I'll turn it over to you to just share some final thoughts before we wrap up.
Sure. So I would say my life and my family life is a lot better because of the FSO. Literally, I have a support group for to be around other dads to help me navigate that lifestyle, being a parent with 2 children with autism, and having an outlet to speak openly about that stuff. And my 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 one son, he is literally thriving now because he got that extra IEP support in, the 11th hour that we needed. And as a parent, you want your children to succeed, and he's on the path to succeed now. And the services are ongoing, so I feel like the FSO will continue to help my entire family continue to thrive in our Camden County home. And I can't thank your organization enough. So I really appreciate the opportunity to advocate for this large organization that specializes in advocating. So it's my chance to get back to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that comment and the fact that we're able to provide that support to your entire family. It's really a fantastic thing to hear. So thank you, Rachel, Richard, Jen, for joining us today on DCF on the Air. Next month, we're going to be talking about a different aspect of our system. We have a motto or a vision for New Jersey that all New Jersey residents be safe, healthy, and connected. Today, talking about the FSOs, we talked about how we're connecting families to supports, how we're supporting mental health and keeping families healthy and thriving. Next month, we're going to be talking about specifically safety. And we're talking to individuals from the Institutional Abuse Investigations Unit, as well as the Safety Subcommittee of the New Jersey Task Force on Child Abuse and Neglect. But whether we're talking about safety, whether we're talking about keeping families healthy or connecting them to health, it all comes back to this larger idea of the child welfare system in New Jersey and how we're leading the way. So thank you for joining us, and on behalf of the Office of Communications and Public Affairs in DCF and my producers, this is DCF on the Air, and tune in next month to hear more.